Okay, now you can tell me which
So
movie it is.
Okay, now I don't know if a lot of the audience have watched this, but this one has been ingrained in my head for years. It's a movie with Meryl Streep. It's called Sophie's Choice. And it's when they're in this train station and the Gestapo have come in and they're wanting her to pick one of her child to go one way and her and the other child to go the other way. So the one child that goes with her will be able to stay alive, but the other one will not. And it is the most wrenching, heartbreaking, emotional, stabbing scene I have ever watched. And Meryl Streep was just like brilliant in it. Like I'll never forget that scene. I'll never forget that scene because it's something that some coaches and some instructors use in getting people to get to a spot that gets them in that emotional state or mind being of if they're playing something with a child or with a someone that is your child, your son or your daughter is what I meant to say. But I've always had that one etched in my brain. That's one I've never been able to get out because I don't know as a mom who would be able to do that, to have to choose between your son and your daughter, your two kids. And what she did with this scene was just, it was mind blowing. That's about all I can say about it.
I'm so excited to watch her in Only Mothers in the Building in August.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah, she's going to be in it. It's going to be her and Paul Rudd and I can't remember the others. Yeah. She's one of those actors that can do anything. She can do accents. She can do languages. She can do comedy. She can do like you see her in Devil Wears Prada. You see her once in the Woods or whatever that's called. You see her as far back in Silkwood with Cher, the singer Cher. Like she can just do it all. She can do it all.
She's a superhuman.
Yeah, she is. She's just extremely talented. And see, she started out in theater, and that's casting directors when they see. I started out in theater. I did theater. I acted and directed. And one thing that agents and casting directors like is when they look on your resume and they see you've done theater. Because theater is a whole different ballgame from film and TV. Theater, once you step on that stage, you got to carry it through, right? And if anything goes wrong, a person forgets their line, you improv it through and carry it on. Where on film and TV, when you're on set, it's stop, go. It's cut. You can cut whenever you want, and then you can go back. But you can't do that on stage. You can't. You just can't do it. But what I like about I love theater. It'll always be my number one, and why I like theater is because of that. And you hear the audience reaction, not because you want to go, oh, I did good, but it's just you hear that you've brought them into your soul and just into your skin, and they're feeling it too, because you can hear it from the reaction in the audience. Where film and TV, you hear it from the other cast or crew, right? But it's a whole different ballgame.
Or critics online.
Oh yes, yeah. And in theater, you've got to be out there. You've got to be big, and you've got to really, do so much with your face and your body, and your voice has to be loud. Where in film and TV, which for theater actors is really hard when you make the crossover to film and TV, is that you're more subtle. It's got to be more natural. Because the first time I saw myself on screen, when I first started filming TV, I went, oh my gosh, that is way too much. But you're so used to it, right? But you can't do that on film and TV.
Yeah, that's me. So that's the reason why so many actors and actresses go into Broadway, because of the directors, like the casting directors, as you said.
Yes, well, a lot. It's a really good way to start off. Theater actors. It's the fact that, like I said, was when you go on that stage, you have to remember you're blocking your lines and everything, and still be. Okay, I always say acting is schmacting. You have to be being, and that makes it more natural. But you have to remember that all. Where when you're in film and TV, that's why film and TV actors that start in film and TV, when they try to cross over to Broadway, it's harder for them. But when you've got a theater actor, because in film and TV, you're not has to be a theatrical. In Broadway and in stage theater, you do. So it's really hard to pull someone's socks up that isn't used to being that theatrical type of actor. So and theater, it's because you have to know your lines.
Mm-hmm.
And in film and TV, you can stop and go with things, especially if maybe something went, that line I didn't remember. Then you can go back and redo it. Can't do that on stage. You either got to improv it through or whatever. So that's why casting directors and agents, if an agent's going to sign you on, a talent agent, they like to see people that have done theater for sure. And it's my love. I've always loved theater. It will always be. I love film and TV too, but theater will always be my number one. And the greatest role that I love playing, I did leads and supporting that, but there was one role, it was for Taming of the Shrew at Shakespeare. And I played Grumio. I played a male. I played Petruchio's lead servant. And he was very comedic, both what he said, what I had to say, but also physical. There was physical comedy in there too. And it was a big role. But that was one role that was hard for me to let go of. So much so, the wardrobe people gave me Grumio's outfit. One of his, his main outfit that he wore. So, yeah.
No, I love theater too because in high school I used to do theater and like play plays, and I wanted to pursue that, but then I was like, I don't know, my family was like, get a real job. That's not going to like pay your rent. And I'm like, okay, fine. Then I went and finished business school.
Yes.
As an accountant.
Well, and I think that happens with a lot of people, right? And that's why I did, like I was talking about that shifting lanes, because that's exactly that's what happened to me, because I was from Manitoba province in Canada, but in Ontario, Toronto, and in BC, Vancouver, I was accepted into a couple of their schools, but I was 16, 17, and I didn't have the money to take off. I didn't know anybody in Toronto and Vancouver, and my parents had said no. They didn't want me going. They said, you got to get a real job like your sisters who are both in the medical field. And that's why I did dental assisting and hygiene for 27 years. And like I was saying to you earlier, my son is the one who got me back into acting because I had become a single parent. He said, you do so much for me and Jenny, was my daughter. He says, you got to do something for yourself. Here, I want you to go audition for this play called Harvey. It was a Jimmy Stewart classic movie. And I said, I'm not, no, I said, that's very sweet of you, but I'm not going to make a fool of myself, because I hadn't acted since I was 16 or so. And then I'm 41 and I hadn't done it for years. I said, I'm going to do that. And he pleaded with me with his big blue eyes. And I went and auditioned. And I got quite a big role in that play. And acting bit me in the butt. And I never looked back from there. So I owe that to my son. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, that's so cute. But yeah, like it's, I don't know, like I wait. I want to say something else. Oh yeah. So is there a dream of yours, like writing a play one day?
Oh, yes.
Since you love,
I mean, it could go into a play, but well, there's a couple of things. I do want to do a feature film, a movie of my book about my daughter's journey with autism, because there's a lot of things that have happened in that could go either play or film, movie. Another one I really want to do, I'm not going to say the title of it because I don't want someone else to grab it, but because I got to watch that. I've spoken to people about this, but there's another one I want to do about menopause. I want to do it sort of, I want to do it comedic, but it's almost like I want to do it like a dramedy, where I want the comedy to be there, but I also want the seriousness and the drama of it. And I want to depict it in different ages of women. So
that's so cool.
I do have a couple of things in my head for that. Yeah. And the one with my daughter, I want to show the aspects of what a family goes through from all different avenues, not only from the parents, because it's also the siblings. And then there's the autistic individual themselves. And then there's what parents are fed, because I was fed that my daughter would never talk, do well in school, never be where her peers are. They basically told me to put him in the corner. And I walked out of that specialist room, my poor mom breathing down her neck saying, that's not going to happen. My daughter is now extremely high functioning, autistic. Some people go, is she autistic? Because some people don't believe it, but it's subtle, but yeah, it's there. But she's now a 2D, 3D animator. She's animating.
Cool.
She's animated short films and stuff. She's animated her own stuff. She's also a best-selling, award-winning author. Her series Dysnomia is a fantasy fiction, and the first 2 books are out. She's just working on the 3rd one, and she's already made what they call a show Bible, and her pitching to present in front of producers and production companies to be made. A lot of people say do a TV series with it. So she's maybe edging more that way, or a trilogy movie series. And she's been referenced, she's been referenced to J.K. Rowling with her writing.
Wow.
Not that she writes just like J.K. Rowling, but that her story is one of those types where an 8-year-old could read it, but an 80-year-old could read it. Okay? Is that type of young and old like it? So yeah.
Well, I have ADHD, but not diagnosed, but it's here. And autism a little bit as well, also not diagnosed, but I do have like these tendencies. And I don't know, like sometimes I feel very bad that I can, sometimes I like mess up right and left, and I cannot make my brain to, to memorize it, then I feel very bad. But sometimes I'm like, okay, so I cannot do that, but I have found some tools which like help me to memorize it, or like other stuff. But then I'm like very passionate about movies and TV shows and writing. I'm also currently writing my first book.
And that's your niche. Yeah, and that's your niche. And you should really do what you're doing now. Because I'm very proud of you, because this is why Jenny, I want you to meet Jenny one day, because Jenny is, she won an award for the Self Advocate Award for Autism BC, because she wants to advocate for ADHD, autistic people that aren't being allowed to go into the workforce. There's still that stigma with it. It's come a long way. It has come a long way from when she was young. But there's still that stigma in having people go in the workforce, having them going in the industry. I mean, Jenny's actually kind of crossed over. She's with my agent now, and she's been doing some acting workshops and that, but she really likes behind the camera, and she loves animation. That's her gig. But it's really hard. And that makes me even more driven to be there. That's why I wrote my book. And that's why we do speaking engagements, is because I want to be there for the individual themselves that have ADHD or autism. I want to be there for the parents, and I also want to be there for the siblings, because the siblings go through it all too. And the siblings sometimes have to take a back step because their parents have to spend more time with a child who's, having the has the autism. But Jenny is an absolute joy. And I've learned so much from Jenny. And to see her go through bullying in school, and to see what she went through, and to see her still go to school every day, because she knew she wanted to be a writer. She knew she wanted to be an animator, and she just did it. And I'm going to do this. And then to see her go to animation school, all her animated friends who are from all over the world, because all over the world goes to Vancouver Film School for animation. And they said, and then when they came for her book signing, and then they saw my book, Are you autistic? And I said, no, not me. It's Jenny. We didn't know she was autistic, because she never said anything. She wanted to see what people were going to be like, so she never said anything. And they thought, well, at first we always thought she was the cute, quiet one in the corners. So then they found out, and they knew. So I mean, it's whatever dream, whether you're autistic, ADHD, whatever you have. There's a movie just done not too long ago, and it was for Hallmark, and it was one girl was Down syndrome, Another fellow, a couple of the other people were autistic. One was ADHD. It was a great movie. And it was so nice to see them being accepted into that. So kudos to you. And you should pat yourself on the back, because I'm very proud of you. I'm very happy for you, because you do so well. Like this interview you're doing with me, it's just lovely. You make a person feel very comfortable, and good questions too.
Thank you so much. Like I'm also disabled, but I'm partially sighted. But like I always do the thing like Jenny does. I always wait. Like I always like, observe, and then I tell them like, hi, I can, like, I'm partially sighted. Like you're partially sighted, but you can see, like you could see the little like letters, or I always use I never really use the tools which the let's say a ruler for blind or partially sighted people. I always use the normal ones. Because my mom has raised me to be, to she always tells me that I don't see you as a partially sighted person. I see you as a normal person. And
you've got a good mom.
Yeah, and if she hadn't done that, I wouldn't been this confident to like show my face, because I had phases of my life where I was very ashamed of
Well, it's like your mom wanted you to believe in yourself and be confident in yourself and to trust in yourself. And that's what I did with Jenny too. I wanted her to believe in herself and trust in herself and be confident in herself and know that she could do. I never pushed her, but I always let her be aware that and I was always there for her. I was her biggest cheerleader, but I always wanted her to know that she could do whatever she wanted, and just take it day by day, step by step. But you can do, I always said, you can do whatever you want. And your mom and me, we learn from you girls. You girls make us believe in ourselves. You girls make us confident in ourselves. You girls make us trust in ourselves. And let me tell you, not only for your family, but people around you. You guys are an inspiration. You're role models. Jenny did a thing here for it's called Tell Us here in BC and Alberta and in Canada. And it was her and another autistic adult. And people were blown away by what they went through to where they are now, what they've done in these last few years. So you guys should really give yourself a pat on the back, because it's not easy when you're bullied. It's not easy sometimes for academics. And it's not easy when you've got these people that are looking at you that don't see the full potential that you all have. So, and this is where kids, and this is where I've had people come to our book signings and speaking engagements, and they've been crying because their kids have gone down the crack because they had a specialist tell them, well, they're never going to do this or this or this. So they thought that was going to happen, or the school system wasn't for them and their child. I've heard horror stories. And like I say, it's gotten better, but it still needs a lot more, especially in the workforce and the social, because that's the hardest for autistics is socialization. That's always been a hard one for autistics. There are some autistics that are very in your face. They don't know how to, sort of back up or whatever. And then you've got others who are a bit more quiet and shy. Jenny's more quiet and shy. She's when I see her now at our book signings and our speaking engagements, she's come so far. She's doing awesome. Well, she always did awesome before too, but it's instilling that confidence in your child and being there for them and reaching that confidence. And when you do, you're just such an inspiration to others who your peers that are like you, or have what you have. And it means a lot to them. I've had people have come up to Jenny that are autistic and says, oh boy, you've just, it's been such a help for them in reading your book and hearing what you went through, but look where you are now. Yeah.
Oh, that's so
sorry, we went on from acting, didn't we? But she's acting and she's a animator. So yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know what to say. I'm kind of like blushing. I'm also like have tears in my eyes. But I'm a
well,
mess,
you
I
should
guess.
be. You should be very proud of yourself and very happy because you are, I'll put it this way, 2 words, you're an absolute joy.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It's true.
Yeah,
It's
like
very true.
I guess I'm very like I'm not well equipped to accept compliments because I'm like, okay, they said something, they said it, maybe they like something is underlying. So
Oh, yes.
I've like I've learned so much basically the last 3 years about myself, my like ADHD, my autism
Yeah.
spectrum.
Yeah.
Even when I was in Egypt, I learned that when I listen to music, it soothes me, it calms me down in a
Yes.
like in a restaurant. Because if I don't
Yes.
listen to music, I can hear every single conversation, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
distracts
See
me.
that? Yes, and that's what I found with Jenny at the very beginning too, when she was younger, and it still does a bit today, is your 5 senses: sound,
Mm-hmm.
sight, noise, even lights. Like I remember we used to go into
Yes.
a ball, it would set her off and she would have really bad fits, like I'm talking about really bad fits. I put her in
Oh,
the bathtub, I don't know how many times a day. But and if routine, if things are out of whack. But see, that's another thing for Jenny too. Back then, and I understand where you're coming from with that, and I think that's that your senses are just a bit more sensitive than
yeah.
others.
I
Yeah,
like I like noticed it in Egypt when I was in a restaurant, or like when lights, and I always like associated lights with my disability, like my point of
oh
sightness.
yes, yeah,
But then I realized, wait a minute, there's something else, and then I like observed, and I'm so grateful for my sister who is younger than me. She has
yeah.
accepted me, and she is also like always
Oh,
like calming me down. But my mom
oh,
is kind of like, in there because she is saying I've never had this, like this is something new. But then I look back, I have always had this thing, like
yeah,
not to this
yeah,
to this like extreme,
yes,
but I had this, and she is kind of like on the journey of accepting it. But my sister is
yeah,
fully there, and I'm so glad that I have her in my life.
yes.
But
Yes, and it's important. You got to have that cheering section there with you, like you with your
mhm,
sister. Jenny's brother has he's older than her, but he's always
mhm.
been there for her. I've always been there for her. Unfortunately, Jenny's dad never was.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
he was really not mm, accepting of it all to the point where we
Oh.
had to go because it was really bad. But I've been there from her for day one. Her brother's been there from her for day one. We got the best support system, but I pushed for it. I was never an assertive person, but I had to become assertive because I felt, Jenny, all of you need to live a rich, fulfilled life like anybody else in this world. You should
Mm.
get every support. You should get everything that's there for you. You should be allowed to do what you want to do and be where you want to be. And this is something where I found really good support where we lived in BC. And also I reached out to a family in the States where I learned a lot from them. They even had a movie of their child. I'm trying to remember, Sunrise, a Miracle Continues, I think. I learned a lot from them. Because if I'd have stayed where it was toxic and someone didn't want to be there or
Mm.
understand, what your child needed, then Jenny would never be where she's at. So it's always good to be around people that are there for you and understanding. And sometimes I will say, and I get it because let me tell you, it's not easy. There's a lot, you go through, but that's your child. You love your child. But it's not easy. At the beginning. But it's something that when you see it, that you go, I brought this babe into the world. I'm the mom. I'm there to protect it and take care of it and make sure they have, like I said, a rich, fulfilled life. So I'm happy. And some people do find out. I've met people at book signings that have been in their 60s, 70s, 40s. They've just found out they've had autism. And they said, what
Mm.
we've been going through. And then it was this all along. you know, but it wasn't like, even when Jenny's 30 now, and 23, well, 27 years ago, they didn't have a lot of support for autism. That's why I really had to push for it and figure out what, I never even heard of it. So
Oh, okay.
that's right.
Well,
Keep that positive. And Jenny's like that too. She really watches people. Jenny, her trust, you gotta be, she really watches. She's not very trusting, but she'll trust them, but you know, she makes sure that they're people that she can trust. I think you guys got a sixth sense with stuff like that. I really
yeah.
do. She says to me when she just sees, I go, I think you're right. You know, so trust is a big thing with her. She's got to be able to trust a person if she's going to bring them into her world. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that as well. I'm also like that. I'm like, okay, like I don't trust you now until you prove me that you're trustworthy. Or like
Yeah.
I have also this thing where I can't, like, let's say I'm meeting you for the first time,
Yes.
as we did earlier, but um let's say like I'm meeting you and I like observe and I kind of notice that you're kind of like phony, or should I say like
Yes.
phony, but also like,
Yeah.
like weird, like off. And I tell, like, I have never been wrong about this. Like, I'm like telling my sister or my mom, like, be careful about this person. And she's like, no, like you're just, you're just being paranoid, blah blah blah. And then,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then a couple like years, weeks, months later, the truth comes out, and then she is like, fuck, like you're all right. Like I should have listened to you.
Yeah, and it's true. It's very true. I find with autism and ADHD people, and they have this specific things that they really like to do. Like with Jenny, it's writing and animation. Then you have others, it's music. They can sing and play a piano. And you have others, it's just they're very good in engineering, or I just want to see every autistic person. I know there's different levels. I know some that they'll never talk, or they've got other things, but as long as you take each individual and let them reach their peak, give them the respect to let them go to that peak of whatever level they're at. And this is why I'm a big advocate for that. I'm a big advocate because I'm a breast cancer survivor. I had that diagnosed in 2014. So I'm a big advocate for that, and women getting mammographs and being checked, because I had lobular, which you cannot feel. It's not a lump. So you have to be very careful at the age when you can start getting mammograms. I beg people, women, to go get them, and men sometimes get it too. But so I advocate. I'm very sincere. I'm very genuine, and that's why I'm always been there for the autistic community, ADHD community. I'm there for the breast cancer community, and I'm there for actors. I'm very camaraderie with actors. I don't feel any jealousy. I don't feel any enviness. We're all working hard. So, kudos to when they book. Even if they booked a role that I was auditioning for. I'm just I've been told I'm a very kind, giving soul, and I just like being there for others, right? Yeah.
Because I believe, like, if if you are kind, and if you are like happy for another person, then that will like come back to you in a bigger way. And I'm actually like seeing this in regards of the podcast. Like I've never thought that I would have guests on my show, but now you're my first female guest and my fourth guest. And I'm just very humble, blessed, grateful. So all of that above.
Well, do you know what, I think this was meant to be.
Really?
I think we were meant to meet. I think in a way this was to happen, because now that you've come out and told me this, I know my daughter one day, if you want to have her as a guest, and she would talk to you about her books, she would talk to you about her autism, she would talk to you about what acting she's done with background acting and stuff. She is, I don't know how old you are, but she's 30, but she looks
25.
You're 25. Okay. Yeah, she's just turned 30, but she looks, everybody says she looks about 18. She's really young.
I was like, somebody at the at the hotel in Egypt we stayed at.
Yeah.
That's my age. It's like 21.
Yeah,
Or
see,
12,
I think you look even younger. I think you could go for 19, 20. You've got a
no,
young
and
face.
let me tell you, and there was this one person, she guessed me as 12. That's the lowest.
Wow.
12.
Oh my goodness. That's really young.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm 25. She's like, what? I thought you were the same age as my daughter. I was like, oh. I was like, no, no. It's because her daughter was like 12, but looked like 16. I was like, no, I'm 25.
Well, you'll have to remember when you get older, because this is what happened to me. Because my sisters and I, we always look 10 years younger than what we are. And I said to Jenny, hey, when you're 30, which you're looking 20, when you're 40, 50, 60, you'll still have that 10-year, 10-year looking young. So in a way, it is good. I know sometimes people, though, they, once you get into the older teens or, 20s, you want to look your age, but hey, there's nothing wrong with looking young, right?
No, not really.
No.
So we have to switch to the last part. I'm kind of sad.
Okay.
It's the last part.
It's the last part.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll leave and I'll come back on the other one.
Okay.
Okay, see ya.
See ya.